Hey everyone, it's Andrew Schiffman.
Harry Turcott here. We both worked at MTV in the music and talent department in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was a time where music videos, TRL, The Jersey Shore, and the Osbournes ruled the airwaves.
Yes, Andrew, those were some great years. So tune in every week as we catch up with old MTV coworkers, record label execs, VJs, and artists.
I can't wait, Perry. We'll give you insights into meeting superstars before they were superstars and some juicy secrets from that golden age of MTV.
So grab your headphones and get ready to relive the era of music television and the people who shaped a generation.
And hello, welcome to the Music Lounge, our weekly podcast with my co-host Perry. How you doing today, Perry?
I'm doing fine, Andrew. How are you today?
Fantastic. Always good, when we can jump on with a very special guest. Who do we have today?
Absolutely.
Yeah, who do we have?
Yes, joining us in the Music Lounge today is Robin Hopkins, actress,
Woo!
writer, former MTV exec, and host of the podcast Well Adjusting. Welcome,
That's
Robin.
me. That's me. I was really an exec assistant, but in my heart and the way that I used my boss's corporate card, I was an exec.
Well, it's funny
That's it.
because Andrew actually had a very specific question about this. I'll let you ask it, Andrew.
Go ahead, I'm spacing.
Oh, the question
What was my question?
Basically, the question was that the title was exec assistant, but there was probably a lot of stuff that came through Tom's office that you dealt with without having to either go to him or having him sort of sign off on. And, it's just, and people thought it was Tom handling it.
Yeah, there was a point where I was out for a day or something, and some like invoice or a check got kicked back, and I walked in his office. And I said, "What are you doing, man?" I said, "Did you sign your own name?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, someone put it in front of me." And I said, "You don't sign your name. I sign your name." And I was like, it got kicked out because like on the actual like signature card that they had on file, I had signed his name so that I never had to ask him. Like we just had that kind of relationship where I pretty much just ran ramshot and he let me. And we had a really good partnership. Like, I think the best executive and executive assistant relationships are very close.
Absolutely.
But not in a creepy way.
So since Tom, when we were there, he was the EVP of Music and Talent for MTV. Yeah. That job sort of had a lot of sort of tentacles. He sort of reached into a lot of different areas. So he was heading up music programming, label relations, talent, the program development teams. He was a member of the channel's executive team and, responsible for, making sure that all the shows that were coming through the music department were doing well, ratings wise, and we're getting a lot of buzz. He worked with all the label heads and, kind of just sort of everybody. As his assistant, how did you see him handle all those responsibilities? And is there one situation particularly challenging, and how did it get resolved?
He was amazing. Like he was a creative exec. And I think like, I don't know if you all have touched on this, but like the glory days of MTV under like Judy McGrath and Van Toffler and Tom and folks like that, like those were the glory days. And I was like born and raised my corporate, like I don't know, like growth and development was all there. And I just thought everybody was that great a boss. And then I went to other places like, that I won't name, Spotify, and places like that where they were just like, I was just like, who are these people? Suck. These are horrible bosses who don't encourage, who aren't like, Tom was just one of those wonderful bosses. Like I believe you had him on your show already, Butterman, who's like, he was a former DJ and he's a comic now. The dude's like amazing. And he had some idea that he was like, I want to do this, or I believe this record should come through, whatever it was. And Tom was like, no. And then Butterman was like, just kept coming, but he kept coming with like facts. And what was so amazing about Tom was that he was always like, okay, talk me out of it. Like, he was a strong leader, but you always could, like, I went to him and was like, we got a morale problem. And this was like when we had moved to VH1. And he was like, I don't think so. I said, with all due respect, nobody talks to you. I have a couch in my area and everyone sits on it, tells me everything, and we got a morale problem. And he goes, okay, great. He goes, you partner up with the head of HR, and he goes, come up with something. And we created this whole like company-wide initiative, this like jamboree thing, like that became like bonuses and events, and he just let me run with it. Like, he was that kind of guy. So what I saw in his leadership was something that I've carried with me in every aspect of all of my independent projects and things that I produce. I bring his spirit of work of like, I got a strong idea, I've got a strong creative vibe, but always lead with story, always lead with creativity. But tell me I'm wrong and tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then let's make it better.
I think that era of MTV, yeah, a lot came from Tom and his personality and how he, his work ethic, but it really came from the top down to Tom to allow him to be that kind of executive from Judy. And, they were all self-starters. Like, MTV was born in a hotel room, right? Or like very, very small, independent, didn't know where it was going to go. So it was really, birthed from this kind of, let's just throw things in and see if they stick.
The other part of that too is that Tom also hired people who were going to be creative and that he knew were going to complement what his skill sets were too.
But I'll tell you what he did. He was the first person I ever heard talk about diversity in hiring, but not in the way that like DEI way. He was like, listen, he said, I could certainly go out and hire 3 friends that think everything I say is hilarious and everything I do is hilarious. He said, then we would have all of the same content. He was like, he was like instrumental in bringing in like the Tumas and the Buttermen and like all these like Amy Doyle, all these people who thought differently and were different from him. And it created like our team, like that music and talent team was just a mishmash of weirdos and in the best possible way. Like everybody was weird and amazing and passionate. And that created a soup of like arguments but like passionate arguments over should this video get a promotion or should this one. And that was all like, that was the like I'm all the time calling it the salad days. Like I'm an 85-year-old, like in Boca. It was the salad days, but it really was.
Yeah, it was. So what I think about from that time as far as the music goes was that there were so many different sort of voices that were being heard as far as the music goes. And I think because of that, MTV really influenced sort of a lot of music genres that got popular at that time too. I mean, we were able to sort of, it was like, pop with like the NSYNCs and the Britneys, but then like the, like the sort of metal rap with like
but then all of a sudden you had like Rage on the VMAs.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like at the same time sharing the stage with Britney Spears. It was like it was a melting pot of ideas and of music too. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I remember when like I think Tom was like friends with the Rage guys. I remember there was like the one VMAs where the one guy like kind of went nuts and was like climbing the rafters. I just remember being off on the side with Tom and he was just like, oh shit. And we were all like, somebody get that guy down. But it was like there were so many like unpredictable, like that's like the salad, the melting pot, the like whatever analogy you want to use. Like that's the thing I think of the most, from the team to the music to the experiences, the artists. It was all just this mesh of different and amazing stuff.
Can you highlight one home run, massive win for the whole company that really came through your time there?
Like I don't.
There was a lot, probably.
There was like there's so many things, and I'll probably forget all of the huge things, but like like out of our team, like Courtney, I can't think of Courtney's last name.
Smith.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, Courtney. Like Courtney created the Woody Awards, and like MTV, the MTV2, the birth of MTV2, of being like, oh, we need a place for this. Like back when each channel actually had a brand and an identity, and they weren't like, strip mined for repeats of Bel Air, house, whatever that Bel Air show is, Fresh Prince. It's like those kinds of things I always thought of as wins. Like when the voice of the people surface through, and I could sit in the room and hear Tuma arguing about how Kanye was going to be bigger than anything. It's just like so many things happened that just started there in that room.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it was, and I think that's really why we're doing this podcast, is because it was that period of time. It was really, it can never be repeated.
No,
and it will, no, because it was the last time that I think MTV was that influential in pop culture.
Yeah.
And
well,
in music.
What's so interesting, Perry, is that should it is a question, right? Like today, in some ways, streaming services have put artists break through playlists that have no label, that were nobody, that like, would you have had a Billie Eilish making an album in her bedroom back then? Would she have made it through the label gauntlet? Like there is now more opportunity for surfaceability, which I think is interesting. But then I can go back to because that was an era of the tastemakers. Like I remember sitting in the music lounge when Clive Davis brought in Alicia Keys' Falling. Was it Falling? Was that her first song? When she's in the prison outfit, and I think it was Falling.
I think it was the first single, yeah.
And like somebody on the team was crying. Now, granted, she was in some like weird boyfriend situation at the time, but it was just like, and Clive Davis turned to her, it was like, that's the power of this music. And it's like, but Clive was a gatekeeper, and we're sitting in the room with these people. But to that end, I remember when a record label guy came in and was like, oh, he was like, this artist, they are top 5 phones, they're amazing. And I was like, guys, top 5 phone. I was like, this is gonna be really good. And then like the next day we're in there and this artist, this top 5 phones. And I was like, oh, so they say that every time. I was like, oh, okay, got it. I was like, so now it's our instincts, but it was like, so I don't, should it, could it? It was, but I do think of all the artists that were probably blocked away by the gatekeepers.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely now there's more opportunity for artists to get heard with doing things on their own. They don't need the money from a record label. On the music programming side, we were inundated with videos and, so much music. What came through the music lounge was almost the creme of the crop, right? Like we didn't have people come in to really waste our time. So, it just highlights everyone really went through this checklist of really bringing us quality music. Yes, there might have been one or two, but we did have places for them with MTV2, MTV, online and stuff like that. I'm kind of just going to segue. Are you a passionate music fan, or do you thrive on what it takes to break an artist? So it doesn't matter what genre, but you just thrive on the behind the scenes. Because we were thinking about, we were thinking about what music does Robin, like and stuff like that. And we were like, I know she's been in music forever, but I can't tell you, oh, she's a metalhead or she likes Britney or 70s. So
well, so I think I'm the anomaly to probably a lot of the people that you're speaking with. I had no interest in being promoted. like I have a college education, like, you know, some of a master's. I could have been an EVP if I wanted to. I was the exec assistant who said, please don't promote me. I make a good living. I get to do cool shit. My boss gives me just enough power to be dangerous. And then I'm off on the side with my flexible hours. You know, when I'm not ordering you a turkey sandwich, I'm writing a play, or I'm auditioning for something, you know, I'm, you know, shooting things in the music lounge. You know what I mean? I use the music lounge, like, and my full 24-hour access to have an acting like a like almost like a co-op. Like every Monday we would get together at 9:00, order food in there, and then we would practice monologues and shit. So like I was trying to go into the entertainment industry and have a job that didn't suck my soul at the same time. And in a lot of ways, it actually made my career, I wouldn't say stall, but slower, because I loved it so much. The people were so great. It was entertainment industry, even though it wasn't what I wanted to do. So it was like I was near it enough that maybe that tamped down some of my hunger at some points. And also, like, Tom and I just had he was the most incredible boss I've ever had. And I always say about him, he's not dead, but he's my brother, my father, and my son, and my best friend, all wrapped up into one. Like, we were like
Amazing.
codependent, like nobody's business. And so I was comfortable. And there was one night where I went with the team and we saw Annie Lennox play acoustic at the Kit Kat Club, like in a Broadway house. And when she did like she did the inverse of it. Instead of like building up to a crescendo, she just pulled it all back. Like, I have goosebumps just and it was like you could hear a pin drop. And like, so from an artist point of view, I was like, holy fuck, I just got to do that. And then I went to go home, and somebody on the team, I think it was Amy, was like, you're not going home. Where are you going? We're going down to Bowery to see Sublime. And I was just like, I was like, this night doesn't get better. I was like, it doesn't get better than what we just had. She goes, and then somebody pushed me in the cab. And the next thing I know, we're backstage after the show, and that had been equally amazing as a show for a totally different reason. And we're backstage, like this crowded area with the band, and the lead singer is like fucking got no top on, and he's standing there, and for some reason I was holding a Sharpie. Like, at this point, you know, I'm drunk, so I've got a Sharpie in my hand, and I turn around, and him and I are face to face, and he goes, oh, do you want an autograph? And I said, no, man, do you want an autograph? And then I fucking wrote my name on his chest. And then we like high-fived, and then I walked away. It was like night after night after night like that. And so it was like, so I was drawn to all of that while I was trying to be an artist and being an artist. And I think that for me, what it gave me is like, it broke the mystique of the gatekeepers in the acting world. Like, once I heard them say top 5 phones, I was like, oh, so this isn't about me. This has absolutely nothing to do with me. Like, it demystified agents. It demystified the executives. And then suddenly I walked in just being like, I got to just talk them into, I'm the record label. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm the music video. And I need to go in and tell them why they need to play me. And so it did move my career forward in that way. But so to answer your question in the most long-winded way possible, I didn't give a shit. I cared about the artists that I cared about coming into it, which was like Prince, and I loved being exposed to new music. The team was a family. The team was, I was like very much like, I operated as the executive assistant like a mama bear.
A mom,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. Like,
but you never came to Tom with an artist who you were like, we have to get this on the channel, man. We got to book him for stuff.
No, but I did, like, when I would hear him play something, like, I remember hearing, I think it was David Saslow playing Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles or whatever the hell that song was. And I came in and I was like, and Adele and the Pavement song. And I came in and I said, Tom, whatever you do, I was like, these 2 fucking songs are unbelievable. And Linkin Park. I was like, I made him go to Linkin Park with me. I said, I'm telling you, these guys are fucking great. And the record label, I can't believe I didn't keep it. The record label sent me a plaque, like this huge plaque that they made for me. And there was a letterhead from Hilton in Tokyo that said, we heard this was all your fault. Thanks so much. And they all signed it, and it was like in with like some stuff, and they sent it to me. But it was like the size of my desk. I was like, I have a studio apartment in Hell's Kitchen. I was like, where am I putting this? So I just have the memory of it. But so like I was when I heard music that I knew connected, I was really passionate and I would go to him, and he would sometimes listen. But then he would be like, yeah, but you like the Grateful Dead. And I'd be like, right, that's true.
So one of the big parts of your role working with Tom was that, a lot of information came your way, and a lot of information that probably should not be public based on, stuff that was happening either with a label, with someone at a label, with an artist. Is there something that you knew of back when you were at MTV that, sort of you kept locked away, and, today it has sort of become known, it became public, it became something that, that sort of happened. Scandalous. Yeah. Today. And you don't even have to say who it was, just, was there a situation like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of, there's an artist who's in a lot of trouble right now in the hip hop world. I probably don't need to see more than that. In a lot of trouble. And him and his team came in, and I was like temping at the time because I started off as a temp for Tom. And I don't know, it's like a famous person. So I was just like, want in, and one of them, I don't know if it was him or his people, put a gun on the table because a video had been like, the label gave us the wrong video. Or they give us, let's be honest, they give us the right video, but it went out. And you guys know, like, once you get the video, it was a tape and it had to be like delivered and it had to go to the NOC. And then there was a whole, you couldn't just be like, go into your MacBook and delete a song once it was with the NOC. It was, the video was airing, and they got a lot of shit for the video when it went live. And they came in and he was like, you had to take that video down. And then put a gun on the table. Like, and I was just out at my desk, like, boop, ba-doop, ba-doo-doo. Cause I was just like, well, someone famous. I recognized something was happening in there. And my boss came out, and if you know Tom Calderone, and you would know, he wouldn't care me talking about this. He's like 4 foot nothing. He's he's a little guy. He's a tiny little white man from Long Island. And so he came out and just like white as a ghost. And he was just like, so, next time something like that happens, could you please call security? Just really need you. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I didn't know about the gun. I didn't know. Like, can you believe he fucking hired me after that? Like,
and it was before he could be like just texting you, say, please call security.
No text, no nothing. Like, he would have had to have walked over, picked up the phone, and hit the hotline button, and it would have been super obvious. There was nothing he was just in there, that dude and his team, and a gun, and just like, lovely. It was crazy.
Wow.
We're going to test your music knowledge, Robin.
Oh God, I'm going to probably, I mean, you've already heard my recall. Like, I got 2 kids in perimenopause. Like, who can remember a name? But I'll try. I'm going to do my best.
You don't have to think.
Okay.
All right. Janet Jackson or Justin Timberlake?
Janet Jackson.
Matt Pinfield or Jim Shear?
Jim Shear. Jim!
VH1 or MTV?
I gotta say VH1. Oh. No, MTV. I don't know.
Madonna from the 80s or Madonna from the 2000s?
2000s.
Britney or Christina?
Christina.
Britney or Christina? Jay-Z or Linkin Park?
Linkin Park.
I knew you would say that.
Yeah, I had to, but I did. But the Jay-Z Linkin Park mashup was amazing. Remember
right?
that?
That was incredible.
I had like a burned version of it before it got released, and I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. I can't. I know that they tried to replicate it, but I just don't think there was any other artists that you could have done that with.
No, it was so special because they were so clearly fans of Jay's, and it's like you could see the influence in their music, and and nobody was doing a crossover with hip hop at that point yet.
Right.
Although I don't know, maybe
Aerosmith and Run DMC.
Exactly. I take it back.
That was a classic,
and it was a hit.
Yeah,
that was a big hit. Yep. Yeah.
During your time there, obviously there was a lot of spectacular, amazing moments that happened. But was there sort of an event that, for lack of a better word, was sort of like a big bombshell that sort of affected your office and the team there? And, how did everyone kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously the NFL. I mean, that halftime show was, I mean, I remember they came in, they were taking computers, just to try to think. And I think the thing that's upsetting about it is because I always took it very personally because the team was like my family, and they did we didn't know. We did not know they were going to do it. Like I was in
Who are
the
you
I was in
talking about, Robin?
Janet
Let's
Jackson and
let's.
Justin Timberlake.
Oh,
But I
there
mean,
you go.
but
Okay.
also it was heartbreaking that Janet got blamed for it and that he took no heat. It's like, but I was I really took quite advantage of the music lounge, and as I was throwing a Super Bowl party in the music lounge again with that 24-hour access when it happened, and we were all drinking and eating, and when it happened, I called Tom, and he was on the sidelines. And I said, "Holy shit." And he said, "I know, right?" He was like, "Can you believe?" Like, it's like I'm literally talking to the guy who's the head of the thing, and nobody believed that we didn't have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
believed it. And that always broke my heart, but it was like you had the FCC coming in and taking computers. And that was like, oh, this is scary.
Well, the weird thing is like, why would MTV want that to happen? Like,
Oh, come
why
on.
would
For the
we?
bad boy, for the promo, the bad boy
Well,
promo,
yeah, but you would think. I mean, they knew that there was going to be repercussions from it. I mean, yes, maybe they'd want something to happen, but not to that extent.
Not that. No, not that.
Right?
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
She
yeah.
had
Absolutely.
pasties on, right? She had
She
pasties
did, and
on.
there was like a tearaway. There was like two layers, and instead of just like one layer popping, two did. And so they were obviously concocting some kind of a moment that would be, but they didn't do it in the rehearsal. They did not do it in the rehearsal, and nobody believed that. So it's like no one knew they were going to do it. It happened. It's like, and it's and it's like there should have been equal weight on both of them.
Well,
But it's like goes on the black woman, which was just absolutely horrific.
and honestly, her career never recovered from that, which
Never.
is
I don't think she
yeah,
recovered. I mean, do you
yeah.
remember her interview? She was like so clearly medicated. I mean, obviously, I legally I can't say that. I don't know. Nobody be mad at me, but she seemed like she was on something when she was coming out on her little apology tour, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And the other thing I think from the behind the scenes point of view, because we went on to continue a partnership when we moved. I moved with Tom down to VH1. We did like a Pepsi halftime show for them for a number of years. They ruled things like the mafia. I can't speak to what they do now, but you were afraid of the NFL. Like that was like a very like profit bearing relationship. We never would have done something like that. And it stunk that nobody listened.
Yeah.
But the NFL threw us under the bus. So,
Yeah.
It
was a long time, right? Like how many months was it? Headlines, conversation,
months.
It went on, yeah.
Months because there was all the talk about the FCC too, and like and the like that each station that aired it, like they had to sort through all that. There was penalties for airing what would be deemed pornography, which again is so stupid. I mean, can we just
right,
with our Puritan roots
move on? I think you kind of said it where you could have got promoted, but you were just happy where you were. But was there another role if you would have wanted to move up or focus on an area? Was there something that you're like, I'd love to go into the scripted team, or was there anything that almost got you?
No. I mean, like, honestly, like what it showed me is like when I moved with Tom to VH1, he became the president of the channel. And so I saw the head of every single department, like no better purview for like, Jesus Christ, if my stuff doesn't work out, what do I want to do? I had no better purview. I saw a weekly with every single team and intricately what they did, what they were about, what they were up to. And none of it, I'm an artist and I want to tell stories and I want to write and I want to talk and I want to act and I want to make shit and I want to make people laugh. Like that's what I want to do. And if you make me, like then maybe marketing. I don't know, like, but I'd be like this.
But you don't
Marketing.
think you would have had an opportunity to make that career for yourself within the MTV Networks family?
No,
Like
it
to
was not
write
a
your own show or
it
something
was
like
not a
that?
place where I was taken seriously in that way. I was like,
Mm,
Robin, that very funny exec assistant. You know, like there was a time when I was in this
Shame on
really
them.
bad,
Shame on
I
them.
know, right?
They
Missed
missed out.
opportunity,
They missed
guys.
out big time.
There was
Yeah.
there was like a moment where I was in this Time Warner commercial, okay? Like just some like non-union thing where I was just like customer service is available day and night. Like it was so bad, but it was running on the cable networks incessantly. And it was like I would be like walking a paper into the conference room for my boss, and it would be on in the background, like Van and Judy, and they would all be like laughing at me, and they knew I was up to that, but I was not seen in that way. I had to, and some of it is that like codependent relationship I had with Tom. I had to leave to be seen differently, not unlike many young people who start in a career. Like in order to get a promotion or to be seen not as the intern any longer, you got to go someplace else. And I went with Tom to Spotify, and then when he left, I forged my own path, and then eventually left to just do my own thing, which is what I'm doing now, where I produce, in addition to hosting Well Adjusting, I also host and produce a podcast for Headspace, and then I also do all kinds of other freelance things on the side. Like I've written a book. I've done. I don't know if any of that ever came. If I had stayed with him, if I had stayed there, you can't be too comfortable. You just can't not and push yourself in the way that you need to be pushed in an industry that eats their young. You know, it's
Yeah.
just
right.
everybody wants it, so you have to show it. But it was always such a great example to me of, oh no, I'm doing the right thing because there's nothing else I want to do here. And this is the
Right.
coolest company in the world at the time.
Because of your position there, you had a really rare front row seat to pop culture as it was being made. Like that 10 to 15 year period was, I mean, an explosion of so many different things that have become cultural touchstones for a lot of us.
Yeah.
So is there like a crazy behind the scenes story from anything that happened during any show, any event, anything that that you know that you want to share with us?
Yeah, there was two that were just like I could never, like, that'll be with me forever. One was I have been since I was 12 the biggest Prince fan ever. Like just huge, huge, huge Prince fan. And I was his talent escort for the VMAs the year when he was like in that little blue zoot suit, you know, and I think he just like introed TLC or something like that. And I spent like 2 days with his security guard, like just like me and this guy were just like besties, just like walking him through the venue, make sure he was comfortable, like changing seats because Prince didn't want that person, and at the time he was the artist formerly known as, and comes to the thing, and I'm sitting in the front row with this guy, just like we're in seat filler seats in the very front row, just watching the show, and I'm in like a headset, and Prince is not coming, Prince is not coming, Prince is not coming, and it's like, and every break I'm getting in my headphones, like, it's, do we have an ETA on the artist formerly, you know, the artist? So I lean over to my bestie, and I was like, nope, hasn't left yet. It's like 9. He's supposed to be on like 9:17. And he's like not even left the hotel yet. So it's like he eventually comes in, like just like minutes to spare. And he comes in, and there's just immediately like that grossness of like a circle of people around him, you know, just like whether they're industry people or like just stagehands, whatever. They're just, and he's his little tiny self. Like I could take my hands and put him around his waist. And he leans over to his bodyguard, and the bodyguard goes, "The artist would like everyone to leave but her." And I was like, "You heard him, people. He said clear it out."
Wow.
and like all those people just took like 3 steps back, and it was like, but it was like such a highlight.
That's
such a highlight.
amazing.
And the other one, which is much quicker, I was working with this artist. It was Sting. I was escorting him, and everyone was like, his manager is really hard. She's just like really hard. You just got to be your best, Robin. Just like kind of like don't fuck it up. And I was like, got it. I was like, okay. So like this is one of the VMAs, and I'm with her, and like at some point I'm just standing next to her and staying in true to her over there doing some deep breathing or whatever they're doing. And the lady just turns to me and she goes, what's your deal? She goes, are you happy at MTV? You want to stay? And I was just like, and it was like this moment of pride for me that this really hard ass was like, I could work with you. And I was like, oh no, I'm really good. Thanks. I was like, no, I like where I'm at. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was like, I know that you would be hard to work for, but it was like, so I could probably go on like into an after hours show of moments like that. Like I feel so fortunate in all that I got to see and all that I got to, be a part of, like, John Mayer early in his career, just coming in and talking to us, and Alanis Morissette playing in the music lounge. It's just like on and on and on and on, like what I got to be a witness to. And as a person who stumbled into it, I just stayed because I loved Tom. I came in as a temp and I was like, hey, could you keep me on? I was like, this is really fun. He was like, let's figure this out. 19 years later, me and that guy.
It's funny. I actually kind of stumbled into working there also. I was hired for a 3-month freelance gig to cover somebody who was on maternity leave and ended up staying there for 10 years.
That was mine too. Mine was too. Yeah. It was a maternity leave gig.
Yeah. And the person never came back, and I just ended up staying there. And it was, I couldn't have asked for a better 10-year place to work.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
But it was family, wouldn't you say? Like we were
absolutely
all just family in a very dysfunctional and lovely way.
Yeah. I was in the LA office in the corporate communications team, and I was looking to move to New York, and I was friends with Gina Esposito, who, if you're hearing, you got to come on this podcast, Gina.
Get in here, Gina. What are you waiting on?
And The Godfather. I mean, Tom has to come on, but
good luck with that.
Gina said, look, if you want to get in the music team, you might want to think about moving to the New York office, because that is the hub. And I was reading a press article, I think it was Hits Magazine, and it was Tom. I was like, you know what? I had only been there a couple weeks, a month, whatever. I emailed Tom because I found his name in the directory. I sent him this, like, I'm extremely passionate. This story, this interview just inspired me, blah, blah, blah. He wrote me, I don't know what it said, I can't remember, but the best email back, I'm like, I want you to be my mentor. And from then on, I felt like, at least it was from my point of view, I had this special connection that, I reached out to you, you didn't know me, I was in a different office, we responded. And every time I interacted with him, we really had that extra layer,
Yeah. He was just that guy. He would, if he liked you, he would be in your camp and he would root for you in any way.
There you go.
And, it's like I have stolen so many management and personal things from him about how he and just to this day, I'm working on this like business kind of startup idea that's around me getting to make more content. And part of it was his idea. And I was like, look, I want you to look at the deck. I'm getting really close. And he said, yeah, as soon as you do that, he said, let's set up a weekly or a bi-weekly. Like that guy has got a whole other career running. He runs Buffalo, Toronto, NPR, he's the chairman of that. And it's like, and he's going to do a weekly or bi-weekly just to help me get this business thing off the ground. That's who he is. And that's who all those people were. And that was what was so lovely. Yeah. It was a special time, not just for the music, not just for the music lounge, but for the people.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was incredible.
This has been really great catching up with you, Robin. I feel like we can do a part 2, a part 3, but I want our viewers to be wanting more, right?
I was gonna say we gotta leave a little something on the table, because I'll just be like, a lot of stories. And then when I was 3, someone's like, Tom used to say, even a train comes to a stop. So it's like that should be me right now.
Yeah. Well, really appreciate you coming on.
You go no.
No,
thanks for having me.
I want you back. And Robin has been very instrumental in me and Perry starting this podcast, so I want to thank you for that too. Giving us all your advice and wisdom and tips on how to position my mic.
Well, I can not only not stop myself, but I'm fans of you both, and I'm out here, and I can't wait to promote this and help you get it out to more people, because I think there's a real audience for it.
Love it.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Woo!
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us today in the Music Lounge.
And tune in next week to hear more stories about your favorite era of MTV.